Hi, my name is Kevin Dyday with Cabinet Safe Document Management Solutions. Today's session is about how SAFE can be used for your HR department. Certainly, there are a lot of documents that exist and must be kept for quite a long time for each employee, and in many cases, for employees that are no longer with the company. Some examples of those document types would be I-9s and W-2s, direct deposits, and payroll forms, resumes, employment applications, credit and background checks, health benefits, non-competes, emergency contact forms, and 401k plans. I'm going to show you today how to store those documents electronically, how you can control access to those documents and the personal information that is contained in them. I'm going to show you that it's a lot easier to accomplish than you might think, and it is well worth your effort to make it happen. Abandon your filing cabinets, minimize your contact with paper, save money, save time, and reduce stress. SAFE is all about simplifying your life. So let's get started. Many of you are familiar with our client and the interface already. SAFE is a structured document management system. So we're going to present you upon login with electronic cabinets and folders on the main screen. So here I have an example of a fictitious company called ABC Corporation in the repository level. Certainly the repository name could be Human Resources Department as well. And inside that repository, I have 3 cabinets that we recommend in your HR department. You get to name them what you want. Remember, cabinet is customized specifically for your structure and your needs, so consider it a playground, if you wish, where you get to build whatever you want. So I have a cabinet here for active employees, another one for inactive employees, and then a cabinet for onboarding as well too. And in that cabinet, I'm presented with electronic folders, and I've decided to sort these by full name. So each employee has their own folders, and you can tell here that there's 24 folders in this cabinet, so 24 employees. You can sort by last name, first name if you like, or you can sort by even employee ID number. That's completely up to you. Over here on the right hand side, I have folder index values, specific data for each folder, and again I get to customize that information. So if I click on edit here, you'll see that I have just typical demographic information. Then I also have some things like I have a drop down for the different supervisors that they report to. So I can run reports on the supervisors and which employees report to whom. Or if they choose change departments, I can easily change their supervisor. Got hire date and date of birth information and emergency contact information as well too, and another drop down. And these dates, I do have a data mask, so however I type this in, I'm forced to type it in this data mask. So if I decide to change Tiger or Adam Wood's birth date, I can certainly do that just right there and there. And then I have a status field at the bottom, so I can keep track of who's full-time, part-time, temp, what have you, again for reporting capabilities. So we'll keep Adam at full-time. Now all 3 of these cabinets have exactly the same structure, so that when I'm going through the employee life cycle and once they've been hired, it's simply very easy for me to drag and drop that folder from one cabinet to the next. So Charlotte Best is now hired, and I can simply move that to another cabinet, and then let's just say for fun that now Charlotte Best is no longer with the company for whatever reason. I can simply move over to the inactive employees cabinet as well. Okay, so it's great to have the cabinets with exactly the same structure so you can move one folder to the other cabinet. Let's go ahead and highlight Tiger Woods folder. If you're a golf fan, you might recognize a lot of these names, and I'm going to open up Tiger's folder. Up top, we have what are called tabs, or they can be considered document categories or even filters, and how you filter out your folder and your structure. You notice for my tabs, I have benefits, hiring docs, performance docs, or certifications. Again, you get to name these tabs and customize them to whatever you want them to be. I kind of think that less is more, so I don't want to have as many tabs as some other people, but certainly you can have as many tabs as you like. And inside of that folder, then, I have the different documents. And I like to have preview turned on so I can take a look at the document while at the same time taking a look at the document title, so I can quickly go through and see the different documents that I have for Tiger right here. So let's say I have another document to add, and it's a piece of paper and I need to scan it in. So I'm already in Tiger's folder. I've got a document for Tiger. I'm going to go ahead and click on Scan. And it's an I-9 form, and I've chosen to store that in the Tax tab. So when I go to the Tax tab, I now have what's called a document naming template, which I think most of you will be familiar with, that is specific for that document type. So as we build out your HR application, we'll ask you about your document types, and we'll help you build these templates so that when you're scanning an I-9 form in for anyone, if that's what you're doing, or whatever document, you'll just be able to choose a template and save that document in Save. So templates, they minimize or completely eliminate naming of the document once you bring it into the system. It also enforces where or in which tab you're going to save that document in. In addition to that, you can tie security, so document security classes, to your documents for access rights, as well as retention as well too, and I don't have retention turned on for this. In addition to that, you can tie automation such as workflow to your document templates as well too, and I'll show that in a little bit. So I picked the template. I've chosen to name this document I-9 Form 4, and since I've been in Tiger's folder, automatically his name is populated in the document title, and I'll click on OK. I'm connected, in this case, directly to a scanner. So if you're scanning from within a folder, you've got to be connected to a desktop scanner. You can't, in this case, use like a multifunction device that scans, to a folder on your network. I'm going to go ahead and click on Scan and scan it in real quick. ImageMan presents me with a preview of the image to make sure that the scanner took a good quality picture, which I'm sure it will. And there's that document. I'll go ahead and close that. And it'll populate then in the Tax tab right then and there. So that's one way of getting a document into SAFE, scanning a piece of paper. SAFE also fully supports electronic PDF forms, and we can create those forms from within SAFE rather than creating them outside of SAFE in another application like Adobe. So I'm at my Performance tab, and let's say it's time for a performance evaluation for Mr. Tiger Woods. I, as the HR administrator, can just simply click on New, choose the Performance Evaluation PDF form, click on OK, and it's going to launch that form. Let me go ahead and blow it up a little bit. You'll notice that I've populated a couple fields in this form already. Tiger's full name and his supervisor. So the data that we have in the folder index values can not only be used to populate a document title, but it also can be used to populate fields in your form. So very important when you're setting up your folder structure to consider how can we most optimize using that data to populate all of your forms that are using in your HR department. And since this is a fillable form, I can go ahead and start filling out the form online. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and close it for right now. Click on Yes, and there's the form. And there it is. So that's just a couple ways of creating documents within SAFE in an active employee folder. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the onboarding cabinet, and let's pretend that we have a new employee prospect who's gone through the interview process And it looks like that we're going to hire Diane Smith. So I have Diane Smith's folder highlighted, and I don't have any documents in her folder as of yet. But it looks like we're going to hire her. And for most HR departments, there are specific forms that are required to be in everyone's folder. So how do you keep track of that? How do you make sure you have that I-9 form, the drug acknowledgement form, background check form, credit check form, whatever forms that are required in your organization? Well, one way to do that is to build what we call a document set in SAFe beforehand, so that you can create those documents automatically when you open up the folder, or just by going up here, clicking up next on the arrow next to New, and choosing Document Set. And then I have a document set named Hiring Documents. So I'm going to click on OK, and before you know it, we're going to have 8 documents that reside in Diane Smith's folder. We've got the direct deposit authorization form, drug-free form, and I've got a background check form that I've decided to put automatically and immediately into workflow for processing. So this is going to another person within the organization who has access to SAFe to take care of this process. I've got a W-4 form here, payroll form. And notice with the payroll form, for example, I'm going to open that up real quick. Again, a lot of the data has been populated already in this form, so it quickens the process of finalizing this form. So all this data here, name, address, that came again from the folder index values attached to the folder that we discussed earlier. So let's talk about, that process of, okay, now we have these forms, and some of them require signatures. So, how do we go about getting those signed? Well, there's a lot of different ways that you can get documents signed electronically, and a lot of good reasons to. Minimize the printing of paper, minimize the different copies that you have, minimize the steps that it takes to finalize a document such as this. So one way you can do that is you can just provide a workstation for the new employee to walk up to electronically sign these documents. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Drug-Free Workplace document. And here again, I've populated the name and then the date. And from here, we want them to sign that document electronically. This does require a full version of Adobe Acrobat Pro, okay, which you can have on that workstation. You just simply click on Place Signature, draw a rectangle, and then next to me on my desk, attached to the workstation, I have a signature pad from Topaz, much like the signature pads that you see at grocery stores every day. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this and click on Accept. And now we have Diane's signature attached to this document. There are other ways to sign documents electronically. We have a number of companies that use our iPad app called Mobile for employee onboarding. And with the iPad app, all you need is a stylus or even the tip of your finger to just draw your signature on the iPad itself. We also have integration with an Adobe product called EchoSign that allows you to sign documents electronically as well. So very important in the onboarding process to figure out a way to sign your documents electronically. If you do require wet signature for whatever reason, you can simply just take that document and drag it down to the print and print it from there and rescan it back in if you like. Okay, so that's one way of getting a document signed. Now, you have all of these documents here, and you need a way of tracking, okay, which documents have been finalized and executed, because I need to make sure that every employee has these documents in their folder. Well, one way of doing that is using another form that we call our onboarding document checklist that we can create for you. So anytime you launch a form and add data to it, that data is collected in the SQL database. And we can connect that SQL database, that data, to an external document or a spreadsheet to do that tracking. So let me show you what I mean. So let's pretend that Diane Smith we have executed all of her documents, and that she has all the documents in her folder that are needed in order to onboard her and move her over to the employee active cabinet and to hire her. So I filled out all of this information right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and close it. And I'm going to click yes to saving. And now that resides. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to a spreadsheet that I have external to Safe, perhaps on your desktop, wherever you want to store it. And this is in a spreadsheet that I've developed that tracks all the necessary forms for each employee. So I've got employee name as column, and then I have the different document types: application, consent to a drug test, drug form itself, license, drug policy, insurance waiver, benefits waiver, so on and so forth. You know, with the benefits waiver, everyone today has to have health insurance. So if you have an employee who decides not to get health insurance through your organization, through your company, it's probably pretty important for you to have a document that they've signed that says, hey, they have decided to waive benefits through you and the reason why. Okay, so I've got this information here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and hit data and refresh all. And you'll see that now Diane Smith exists in that form. Now we can automate this process, kind of running in a service, so you don't have to do data refresh. But there's Diane's row. You know she has all the documents. Just transparent information to real-time data to know where you are in the process. Again, makes life a lot simpler for the HR administrator when they're tracking all of those different forms. A great way to do that. So let's move on to the next step, and we'll talk about doing some batch scanning. So I want to spend a few moments in our batch module just showing a couple of different functionality and features that I think you'll find very useful to you. So batch is meant for when I'm scanning a batch of documents that don't necessarily go in one single folder or even in one single cabinet. So I'm going to go ahead and scan some documents. And again, I'm connected to my scanner. Now I'm going to click on scan. And I have 3 different pages that are being scanned in via the scanner. And all 3 documents belong in different folders and different repositories. So I'm going to scan those, and they're going to present themselves right here in the preview thumbnail view, and then I have a preview window over here. So the first document I have is a performance evaluation for Casey Colligan. Casey's an active employee, so I'm just going to start typing in the first couple letters of his name, and it automatically populates his folder. And then I'm going to apply the template that I created for performance evaluations. And the document title is going to be Completed Performance Evaluation for Casey Colligan. As easy as that. Again, when you're using templates, it makes it very simple to get documents into the system. And I'm going to go ahead and choose both pages because I've gotten a front and back of that, and just go ahead and file that document away. And it'll file into Casey's folder. The next document I have is an application for employment. Again, front and back side. So I'm going to highlight both. Now it's an application for employment, so most likely Alice is in the onboarding cabinet. And I'll type in Alice, and there she is. And then I'll go over to the tab called Hiring Docs, where I know I have my employment application template. So I'll simply name the document Employee Application for Alice Andrian. Now for this one, I want to show you something that we can do called scheduling an item. So I want to bring the document in, but I want to remind myself in the next 2 days, or let's say tomorrow, that I want to go back to this employment application and do some work on it. So I'm going to set it as a scheduled item, and I'm going to set a due date for it for tomorrow. So I'm going to click on File Document, and it's going to bring up my scheduled document window. From here I can put together an initial status, and I have one for in review. I can type a note, call references, whatever that might be. and I can choose my category. In this case, it would be human resources. And again, these fields here are customizable to what you want them to be. You can have your priority set as well too. We'll call this high, and I'll click on save. And now that document's filed away, and if I go back into Safe, and I go to my dashboard, which I'm at right now, you'll see I have that scheduled item right here, okay, to remind me that, hey, I have work to do, and that'll show up. You can also tie scheduled items to your Outlook calendar so that you'll get an event reminder in Outlook, even if you're not in Safe, that you have work to do on that document. Now, if I go back into Batch, you'll see that that document that I've already scanned is still there. So whatever you scan and bring into Batch is going to stay there until you save it away in a folder somewhere. Okay, so the next document is an expense report. So must be an active employee for Mike Howard. So I'll type his information in. And this expense report, in this case, we're going to talk about, hey, you know, there's some type of process for approval for expense reports. So I'm not going to schedule it, but I am going to go ahead and file and route this document. So instead of just clicking on file, I'm going to click on file and route. Oh, first, excuse me, I'm going to choose my, go to payroll and choose my expense report template. And now I'm going to say file and route document. So up pops up my workflow screen, and now I can manually choose a person to route this document to, or if I have a rule for expense reports, I can simply go over to the rules section and choose the expense report rule, which is right there. For these purposes, I'm actually going to go ahead and just send it over to Pam, and I'm going to say please approve, and click send, and it's going to route that document and put it into Mike's folder. If I go over to Mike's folder real quick here and the active employees, you'll see there's that document that we just put into workflow. So just a few things about Batch that you can do in regards to, you know, scanning a bunch of documents at one time, or importing in from your folder where your multifunction device is scanning to, and then you can go to Batch and do a file, open, and browse out to that folder. Or you can use our load option, which would automatically watch a folder, okay, and once you hit load, it would bring in all the documents that are in that folder that you scanned to from your multifunction device. So you can schedule documents, you can put documents in workflow, all simply from this interface here. Next, I want to talk about access rights and permissions. So currently I'm logged into Safe as myself. Let's pretend that I am the head honcho of the HR department. So I have access to all of the information saved in Safe in the HR department. Okay, I have full access, full of permissions, so the ability to see all information, all folders, all documents, so on and so forth. Okay, and that's not going to be the case for all of your employees. You're going to want some employees only to have access to certain information. So how do we control that access, those access rights? And we do that at the user level. And we do that at every kernel of our structure, from the repository to the cabinets, to the folders, and then even to the documents within inside those folders. And we build that in management. So I'm going to quickly show you what that looks like in our management console. So I'm going to open up Cabinet Management, and I'm at the section called Access Rights over here. So we have the repository, ABC Corporation, we have active employees, and currently I have 4 people who have access in some shape or form to those cabinets. Okay? If I move to the inactive employees, you'll see that now only 2 people have access to that cabinet. Okay, so they don't, only they see that cabinet and the employees or the folders inside of that cabinet. Angel, for example, who has access to see the active, does not see the inactive cabinet at all. And same thing with onboarding. Okay, so that's one way to restrict access, is to restrict access via the cabinet. So let's go ahead and highlight myself, and we'll click on OK, and we'll go through that process as far as having access rights. So I'm going to click on Next. And the first step in access is the folder rights. And I've set myself up to have preview, view, edit, create, delete, and lock rights for document classes or for folder classes that are tied to a non-sensitive folder type. And then also to, in this specific demo, non-management and management folder access rights. Okay? So these are, again, tied to the folders and what that person can see, that specific user, when they log in. And then these are the permissions of what they have to do, what they have when they log in. You know, what can they do? Can they create documents, edit documents, or just view? Okay? The next step in the process is setting up your document rights and your document classes. And Kevin has access to all of the different document classes. And you see I have a number of these here, including management and non-management. And then the permissions of what I can do with the document. And I have a lot of capabilities here, creating documents, deleting documents, so on and so forth. Okay? If I go to Pam real quick and click on Edit, you'll see that Pam actually, she only has preview and view rights to non-sensitive folders. So she can't create folders at all. All right? And then if you go down here, you'll see that she doesn't even have access to the folders that have management or non-management folder classes. So I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, I want her to be able to see folder classes that have been given a non-management class. And then the next step is your documents. You can see that she has access to see preview, view, and even export documents that have been given a non-management security class, as well as documents that don't have any sensitivity tied to them whatsoever. So where do those document classes, where are those created? They're created over here on the left-hand side in the document classes section in the cabinet management console. So the first step is setting up your folder classes. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. In this demo, I specifically just have a non-management folder class and a management folder class. So I have people who are logging in that have non-management access. So they're going to see folders that have non-management access, but they won't see a folder that's been given a management folder class. And same thing with the document security classes. So just a quick way of just, very simple way of just restricting and controlling access to the different level of employees that you have. So let me show you what that looks like in SAFE. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the user interface. And again, I'm logged in as myself currently right now. And you can see that I have access to all three cabinets. And in the active employees cabinet, I have access to both Adam Scott and Aida Mazzato. Consider them the owners of the company per se. If I right click and go to edit index values, you'll see that they've been given a folder security class as management. Okay, so if I log out as the head honcho, the VP, or VP of the HR department, and then I log back in as Pam, so let me do that real quick, you'll see that the access rights and the permissions have changed when I've logged in using your user ID and password. Notice the only cabinet I see under HR and under the ABC Corporation repository is the active employees cabinet. Notice as well, I don't see at all the folders for Adam Scott or Aida Mazzato, okay, because those folders were assigned management level folder classes, and I don't have access to management level folder classes. I only see non-management folder classes. Okay, so let's now find a folder here that has a lot of documents. We'll open up close folder. And you'll see that there are documents that I have access to, but there are documents that I do not have access to. These documents have been assigned a management document class security. So again, I have the ability to control access and control permissions by user for every user who enters into SAFE. So if I right click on this drug-free workplace document and I go to edit description, Pam does not have edit capabilities. So when she tries to do that, it's just going to say user does not have the rights for that given security. Okay, so by tying the user ID and password and the user to access rights and permissions, we can restrict that at every kernel, again, the way of our document management system, which is what you want in an HR environment to lock down access rights and permission levels. So pretty powerful. Just want to quickly jump over here to workflow too, because we workflowed a document earlier. So we workflowed a document to Pam for who approve or whatnot. And when here I can also just open up the entire folder and show the complete drop-down list of all those documents as well. So you can see here's a couple other documents, and then there's the workflow document. And then from here I can do whatever I need to do in order to approve that document. I'm just going to go ahead and say approve it and file it back to SAFE, and it's out of my workflow queue. So that's just a quick example of access rights and permission levels and how we can grant and restrict access and abilities to do those certain things. So very important in an HR environment. So this concludes our presentation on how Cabinet SAFE can be used in your HR department. We showed a lot of different features and functionality of the product that can help simplify your life in managing your forms, converting them to electronic PDFs, to doing electronic signatures, scanning and filing those documents away using templates, controlling access to documents, to folders, into cabinets, and then controlling what permissions users have when they're accessing documents, whether they can edit a document, add new documents, delete documents, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of tools that you can use today to simplify your life in the HR department. So here's your call to action. Contact Gene Fleming. You can either phone him or send him an email and tell him that you want to get going today and making your HR department paperless. Not only will he be there for you, but the entire team and staff at Cabinet will be there to help you implement SAFE in your HR department. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Take care.